rappers, they're all so tough until you hear their real name.
Yeah, or till you see them at a Puffy party. Then they're not tough no more. I'm surprised that the rap game is still alive after, because the masculinity that the rappers are supposed to portray.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to fuck you.
You get your deal. That was what I heard while I was on Empire about some of the people in the business. And Petey Pablo, you remember Petey Pablo?
I know who that is.
Petey Pablo, talented writer, singer. Him and Young Buck wrote a song called Ho Is Home. And in that song, back in about 2011 or 29 or something, because he called out all of the homosexuality taking place at those parties and those people, he was kicked out of the music business. No radio station would play his stuff. So you look for Petey Pablo, he's not around anymore. But that song, Ho Its Own.
In the early 2000s, Petey Pablo was everywhere. Raise Up was a cultural moment, not just a hit. North Carolina Come On and Raise Up became a chant at concerts, parties, and sports arenas across the country. His debut album earned a Grammy nomination for Best Rap Album. His follow-up single, Freak a Leak, went platinum and peaked at number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100. Then he vanished. No gradual fade, no public fallout, no statement. Just gone. While artists around him continued to ride the exact same wave of Southern hip-hop he had helped build. Terrence Howard, who knows Petey Pablo personally and who spent years on the set of Empire watching how the industry operates from the inside, says the disappearance was not accidental. He says Petey Pablo was systematically removed from the music business because he refused to stay quiet about what he saw happening at industry parties. Today, we go through the full documented story. Petey's rise, what Howard says happened, the arrest that gave the industry its excuse, and the broader pattern of artists who came up through powerful industry circles and disappeared when they were no longer useful. Everything in this video is clearly labeled. Documented career facts, on-record statements, clearly attributed allegations. You will always know which is which. Let's get into it. Petey Pablo's path to music was not straightforward. He spent time in prison on robbery charges in the early 1990s, came home determined to redirect his life, and eventually connected with Timbaland, one of the most influential producers of that era. What they created together was Raise Up. Released in 2001, the song was an instant cultural touchstone. It peaked at number 25 on the Billboard Hot 100 and helped his debut album, Diary of a Sinner, first entry, earn a Grammy nomination for Best Rap Album in 2003. The album went gold. Today, when you say North Carolina, everybody want to raise up. It's an amazing feeling. I'm still humbled because I'm such a hometown country boy. My label was like, Petey, we can't put this song out because don't nobody know what North Carolina is. And I'm like, well, this is all I'm giving you right now. 2 years later, his sophomore album, Still Writing in My Diary, second entry dropped Freak a Leak, which hit number 7 on the Hot 100 and went platinum. Petey Pablo was on BET, on MTV, at award shows, collaborating with artists across the industry. For a moment, he looked like one of the defining voices of Southern hip-hop. Then, the momentum stopped. Completely. No announcement. No explanation. Just absence. Terrence Howard has been specific about what he believes caused Petey Pablo's removal from the music industry. He made these claims in an interview, and we present them as his documented, on-record allegations, not as established fact. According to Howard, Petey Pablo wrote and released a song, reportedly called Hoes on His Own, co-written with Young Buck, in which he called out what he said was happening at industry parties. Specifically, according to Howard's account, Petey named names and described what he had witnessed in those environments.
Singer, him and Young Buck wrote a song called Ho His Own. And in that song, back in about 2011 or 29 or something, because he called out all of the homosexuality taking place at those parties and those people, he was kicked out of the music business. No radio station would play his stuff. So you look for Petey Pablo, he's not around anymore. But that song, Ho Its Own.
This is Terrence Howard's account. We present it as his allegation only. We have not independently verified the specific song or its content, and we note that clearly. Howard went further, describing what he characterized as a systemic pattern in the industry where compliance with certain demands was treated as the price of access. He used historical language to frame what he said he heard described while working on Empire, a parallel to the concept of breaking someone's confidence and spirit to ensure submission.
See someone and they tell them, okay, yeah, you can have a deal, perform fellatio on me, and you get your deal. That was what I heard while I was on Empire about some of the people in the business. And Petey Pablo, you remember Petey Pablo?
I know.
Again, this is Howard's documented statement about what he heard. It is not a verified account of specific events. It is a named person making a specific allegation on record about industry culture. In 2010, Petey Pablo was arrested at Raleigh-Durham International Airport attempting to board a flight with a loaded, stolen Smith & Wesson pistol. He was charged with possession of a stolen firearm and sentenced to nearly 3 years in federal prison. On the surface, a career-ending mistake. And for many artists, that would be the end of the story. But here is what makes Petey's case notable in context. Other rappers of the same era served significant prison time and returned to substantial industry support. T.I. served time and came back to continued label support and commercial success. Lil Wayne served time and returned to the same. Meek Mill served time and became one of the most prominent voices in criminal justice reform, with industry backing throughout. Their prison stints became part of their narrative, part of a redemption arc that the industry actively supported and in some cases promoted. Petey Pablo got no such arc. When he came out, the silence continued. No label interest, no radio support, no tour lineups. The arrest, according to Howard's framework, didn't create his blacklisting. It simply provided a convenient justification for one that was already in place. Here's the documented personal story between these two men, told by both of them on record and separately confirmed. In 2005, Terrence Howard was at an event in Los Angeles. He was going through a difficult period financially and personally. Petey Pablo, who had never had a real conversation with Howard beyond knowing him from television, noticed he seemed off and asked what was going on. Howard told him he had lost his wallet. Petey reached into his pocket and handed him $200 without hesitation. Didn't make a big deal of it, just did it and walked away. 10 years later, Howard called Petey out of nowhere.
Terrence story, that was a whole story within itself anyway, because the reason that I got that role on Empire was, like Cherry said, I'm just that guy. I just so happened to run into Terrence Howard in the Four Seasons Hotel. And I was like, hey, what's up, man? That's Terrence just hustling the flow. Oh man, what's up? He's like, man, I listen to all your stuff. He was like, even when I was on Hustling the Flow, he was like, I listen to your music. He said I was trying to act like Petey Pablo, and that's crazy to me.
You did.
So I said, hey man, we all going out. What's up? You want to come out? And he was like, nah, man, I'm going through a little something right now, man. I lost my wallet, lost my credit cards and everything, so I'm just going up to my room, man. So I was like, damn, you lost. So I reached in my pocket and pulled out $200. He was like, here. Take it. He was like, here. He was like, I was like, no, man, you just don't be walking around with nothing in your pocket. Like, here.
Oh, that's
and I gave him the money and I walked off. So fast forward, 13 years later, I get a phone call. And this was a couple years ago. He was like, is this Petey? I was like, yeah. He was like, first of all, I need you to see. He's like, this is Terrence Howard. I was like, damn, what's up, bro? I ain't heard from you in years. Last time, he was like, yeah, last time I seen you, yeah, something happened between us. And I need you to send me your address because I owe you some money. And I was like, nah, bro, you don't owe me no money. He was like, bro, send me your address or I'm going to hang the phone up and and you'll never hear from me again. So I'm like, Okay, so I give him my phone, my address. 2 days later, I get a check for $15,000.
Dang, what a great investment.
Crazy, right? Crazy. So I called him back and I was like, bro, he was like, listen, you do not realize that at that time, I didn't lose my wallet. He was like, I just said that because I was so embarrassed that I was going through what I was going through in life. And he was like, effortlessly, you just reached in your pocket and handed me money and didn't really even know me. You knew me from watching me on TV. You know, we had never had a conversation or anything. And he was like, and people that I'd known for years had denied me at that point in time in his life. And he was like, and he was really in a bad place. He was like, for me to reach in my pocket and effortlessly just do an act of kindness that way, he was like, it changed his thought about life. And I was like, man, that's really crazy. He was like, now we got that out of the way. Now I need you to help me on this Empire situation.
Hey, Petey, what's next for you? We saw you on the set of Empire. Saw you doing your thing on Empire. Are you going back to the set? But you said you got to go to LA first, actually.
Yeah, man. Well, you know, I'm still writing music for the show. And Terrence is my brother. You know, and that's another thing. Again, I don't want to speak too much about it because, you know, when I get uneasy feelings about certain situations, you know, sometimes my mouth will put me in situations where I'll be walking around looking like I have lost everything in the world. Like, what did I just say? I did not just say that publicly, but I will, you know, and really don't mind it. But I mean, I understand that there are dire consequences behind some of the things that I say. But Terrence Howard is my brother, and there's nothing that man cannot ask me to do besides some of the stuff they do on TV. No,
Clear that up right now.
No, but that's my brother, man, and you know, whatever I can do to help him and the show, man, I mean, I'm always there.
2 days later, Petey received a check for $15,000. He was like, you do not realize that at that time I didn't lose my wallet. I said that because I was so embarrassed about what I was going through. And effortlessly, you just reached in your pocket and handed me money. People that I had known for years had denied me. And it changed his thought about life. Howard then asked Petey to appear on Empire, giving him a role and a song placement that earned him $15,000 in revenue, a small return to the spotlight from a man who had witnessed firsthand how the industry had treated someone he considered a person of genuine character. Petey Pablo is not alone. When you look at the careers of artists who came up through the most powerful circles in hip-hop and then disappeared, a pattern emerges that goes beyond individual bad luck. Shyne, a bad boy, records artist in the late 1990s with a platinum debut and genuine star potential. In 1999, a nightclub shooting involving Diddy and Jennifer Lopez ended with Shyne serving nearly 10 years in federal prison, while Diddy walked away without charges. By the time Shyne came home, the industry had moved on. Diddy made no documented effort to revive his career.
We were on our way to court. I knew that they were setting Shyne up to take the fall. When Shyne decided to get his own lawyers, I knew that they was gonna set Shyne up to take the fall. These guys in the industry wanna act like that they didn't know that Puff helped send Shyne to jail.
G-Dep, another bad boy artist with a promising early career. In 2010, he walked into a police station and confessed to a cold case murder he had committed years earlier. He received 15 years to life. Diddy had little public comment. The pattern was consistent. Artists from that camp faced serious consequences, while the man at the top continued to expand his empire. Both of these cases are documented public record. We note them as such. Memphis Bleek, Jay-Z's documented protege, once positioned as the heir to the Rockefeller throne. Multiple albums, major backing, complete institutional support. And yet, despite years of effort and Jay-Z's explicit cosign, the breakthrough never came. Jay-Z himself once said, Bleek could be one hit away his whole career. Whether that reflects a failure to invest fully, industry politics, or simply the brutal reality of a talent gap, the result was the same. A young artist built up, positioned as the next big thing, and then left to plateau quietly while the empire around him kept growing. The pattern across these cases is not identical. Some of these artists made decisions that contributed to their outcomes. We are not stating anyone was deliberately sabotaged without evidence. What we are stating is that when young artists, many of them Black, many of them from the hardest circumstances imaginable, keep ending up broken, imprisoned, or erased while the same names at the top of the industry keep thriving, that pattern deserves honest examination. Petey Pablo went from a Grammy-nominated artist with back-to-back charting hits to complete industry silence in a matter of years. Terrence Howard, who personally knows Petey, who spent years on the inside of the industry while filming Empire, and who has nothing obvious to gain from saying what he said, makes a specific, documented allegation about why.
Homosexuality taking place at those parties and those people, he was kicked out of the music business. No radio station would play his stuff. So you look for Petey Pablo, he's not around anymore. But that song, Hold Its Own, they did
Well,
not
I
care.
mean-
They went all in on it.
Look, this is a country of snitches.
We have presented that as his allegation. It is his documented, on-record statement. We have not stated it as verified fact. What is verified is the career. The Grammy nomination, the platinum single, the gold album, the arrest, and the silence that preceded that arrest by years. What is also documented is the pattern. Shine, G-Dep, Memphis Bleak. Young artists, talented artists, artists with genuine industry backing, and what happened to them when the power structures around them made a different calculation. The music industry, as Dave Chappelle once said, is a machine. And when you stop being useful to it, or when you become a threat to it, the machine moves on, sometimes quietly, sometimes not. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time.